Good morning, everybody. Good morning from Amsterdam, the Netherlands, and good afternoon from
Bali, Indonesia.
we go to Bali. Beautiful. Welcome to episode. And now I
53.
talk. And now I talking in my. Okay.
Can you hear yourself?
Yes. So I'm gonna read your lips again. I'm gonna read your lips again.
Sorry.
It happens sometimes. Um, so episode 53, Rendezvous with the Present Moment. And I have a beautiful guest. I'm very happy that Veronique is back. And for those of you who do not know Veronique, Veronique is from France and she has lived in Asia for the past 27 years, in Hong Kong, in Singapore, and Bali, and now for 5 years in Bali. And she considers herself blessed in many ways, from the beautiful view from her working desk to her wonderful son, a nearly 6 foot tall boy who stretches her coach's abilities regularly and with a smile. And Veronique used to be in finance, she used to be a fund manager, and still has an interest in finance and investments. But her passion is to help people move forward, release blocks and trauma, and resolve stressful situations. So this is a very important and relevant theme for these times. And what she does with people as a coach and therapist could be compared to help them unwind a very tangled ball of yarn so they can create something amazing out of the yarn. And she will use any technique that can serve her clients, such as NLP, hypnotherapy, timeline therapy, emotional freedom technique, and matrix reimprinting. And a couple of years ago, she developed the rapid release and reset technique to help people heal and rewrite their story. She has been a trainer for Tony Robbins for the past 10 years. So we're going to start, Veronique, while I'm still talking in my ears. I keep talking.
It's okay.
Anyways, so this is a special and sacred space that we're gonna create together, Veronique. So we take our moment to center, and please, whoever wants to join us, we are very happy to do this together. The energy is even stronger. So let's close our eyes as we occupy a position of strength, yet comfortable, whatever it means to you. And taking in all the sounds around us as part of the life and feeling our body and connecting with our breath. Just noticing the inflow and the outflow of our breath. And I will offer you a mantra to recite it in your head. I'm going to do it 5 times today. On the in-breath, my attention, and on the out-breath follows my intention. So let's do it together. Let's breathe out wherever you are. So breathe in, my attention. Breathe out, follows my intention. Breathe in, my intention, my attention. Breathing out follows my intention. Breathe in, my attention. Breathe out follows my intention. And 2 more times. Breathe in. My attention. Breathe out follows my intention. 1 more time. My attention. Breathe out follows my intention. Coming back slowly. And let's rock and roll, Veronique.
Yes, let's.
Veronique, Veronique. So good to be with you again.
Thank you.
Can you tell us something beautiful about Bali? One
Oh,
thing that you love about Bali.
there are so many beautiful things about Bali, but I will share with you literally what I was talking about earlier about the view from my desk. Um, it's I have rice fields all around, and I have an open air office basically. And from my desk, I can see the rice fields, and it's quite a long way actually. There's different owners, and so it's cultivated at different rhythms, right? So in the far end at the moment, I have 1 week old rice, and then the next two closer to me have just been harvested. So right now it's kind of dry. Right? It's like when they cut the wheat at home. It's the same thing, right? It's the same type of color. They have a slightly different way of dealing with it. So I'm hoping they don't set fire to any of that hay while we're on the call.
Beautiful.
Because otherwise I will be foggy. Because as I
So
say,
when you
I have
wake
an
up in
open
the
air desk.
morning, and you look outside, what does this do to you? How does
Uh,
this?
there is such a piece when I do manage to catch the early morning. The sun literally rises next to Mount Agong, which is our volcano. And so if I can see it, if she's outside of her dress of clouds, because very often she's hiding in the clouds, it's so peaceful and it's so beautiful. And I think this is the bigger thing, is remembering to just look out there and just inhale peace and exhale peace. Right. This is really something that came in really handy, actually. It's funny that the topic was we chose was emotional first aid, because I
Exactly.
literally had to do that for myself a few days ago, because I've been dealing with challenges for one of my clients. And I went downstairs on the patio and I sat there and I watched the light from the sunset come down, right, on the volcano. And it was the most beautiful. I'll post picture at some stage. It was just so
Yeah.
beautiful and so peaceful. And just those like 5 or 10 minutes were enough to actually bring me back to center and become, a nice human being again.
Yeah. Beautiful. So emotional aid.
First aid, yes.
Tell us. Tell
Well,
us why is this important and what do you mean by that?
all right. So interestingly enough, I was chatting with someone a couple of days ago, and she was talking about that ice cream on the kitchen floor moment when she had such a stressful day and she got home, went straight to the kitchen, opened the freezer, grabbed the pint of ice cream, grabbed the spoon, and literally slid down the fridge and started eating the ice cream because she'd had such a horrible day. And we all have those moments, right, where we are stressed or something comes in and takes our peace away, or we're really sad, right? All of us have had to deal with different layers of sadness. And I trained as a first aid this giver a long time ago, and there are things that we can do for ourselves, right? So the first thing you're going to say is, if you got blood, it's like, okay, let me clean the wound and look at it to make sure that I don't need to go to the hospital. And it's kind of the same thing with emotional first aid. Having a bag of tricks that you have with you, right, that belongs to you, that you don't need to call your therapist for, you don't need to call your coach for. To me,
And
it's
you don't
something
need
that
to
is
eat
really
the
important.
whole gallon of ice cream.
And you don't need the whole gallon of ice cream. And it made me
Only a
laugh when
little
you
bit.
shared that story, because I don't do ice cream, but I do chocolate.
Yeah.
right? Everybody's got a different way of dealing with things. So and we all learn. So emotional eating is one of those where there's this, and it's going on so much at the moment, right?
Yeah.
Because people are stressed and they can't do their normal things and they don't have their normal ways of doing. So what if you had a menu of first aid things that don't necessarily involve eating biscuits and cheese with a glass of wine? Not that
Yeah.
I'm French, so biscuits and cheese and a glass of wine sounds really good.
So
But
knowing you, I know that you are very generous and you're going to share with us one of those tools, right? So tell us.
only what?
I know you're an overachiever and very generous. So share as much as you want to help people thrive
That's awesome.
emotionally.
One of the first things though is to become aware, right? Ouch would be that makes me think of something else, but really noticing that okay, I'm not my usual self.
Yeah.
Something is going on, or simply saying I feel stressed, right? Because most people will say it's a throwaway comment, right? I feel stressed.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, but what is really going on? Why is your, because the thing is, when we use those words, our bodies react right away.
Yeah.
Stress. Oh
Eh,
my God, the
Yeah.
tiger's coming.
Yeah. And doing this, I feel fine, creates even more conflict between the unconscious mind and what we are uttering, right?
Yes, yes. And that's where starting to learn to recognize what's going on, in my view, is something that is really important. It's putting words on it. So it could be, I feel stressed because I had to drive for 45 minutes and there was this horrible driver right in front of me. Or I feel stressed because I know I'm going to be late turning in this homework. Or the kids are doing homeschooling and I can't help them with their math. I got lost on the math with my son a long time ago,
Yeah.
right? So it's starting by saying, okay, this is the sentence, or this is the challenge that is creating stress for me. But then sometimes it's just a whole heap of things, right?
A whole?
A whole heap, a whole pile of things. It's like I'm stressed because my kids are homeschooling. I'm not turning my job in. I got to do all of this. There's so many demands on my time. If you notice, I already started speaking faster for the same reason, right? And just saying it out loud, it can already kind of bring it down. So that's the first thing. It's like
And
looking at it
actually,
and exploring.
to add on this, you know very well there is a study made by neuroscientists from Harvard, which said also they discover that just the fact of labeling what we are feeling, becoming
Yes,
aware and
yes,
labeling them reduces the
yes,
activity in the amygdala in the midbrain, where is the seat of emotion, fight flight response, and
yes.
calms us down, right? It
Yes,
calms a little
absolutely.
bit.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
go ahead.
it's in particular we have, and you and I, we come from the same kind of background of fake it till you make it sometimes, right?
Yeah,
It's like you always have to be up, and we call them unresourceful emotions, right? And it's true that if you stay in it, it's really not very resourceful, right? Because you're kind of saying the, but actually voicing out, I am angry because this happened. I am sad because this happened. I feel stressed, or I feel depressed, or whatever it is. Just saying it actually helps looking at, okay, this is the beginning of the awareness, right? And that is part of first aid. If you can, journaling is a great way to look into it.
yeah,
And what I always tell my people, my clients as well, is you are absolutely entitled to feeling like this,
yeah,
right? There is nothing wrong to it,
absolutely.
but let's not stay in it.
Yeah. And one thing about anger, because that's big, especially for women, the society did not, let's say, nurture this emotion as an
Yes,
acceptable emotion, as especially for women.
yes,
And I would like to make the distinction. Let me know if you agree on this between anger and rage. So anger, you do something and it just, I find it not fine, and it triggers something in me, gives me the energy to move forward. Rage, I feel like punching you. So there are different, right? So there are different way people, and we become more literate in this as
Yes,
as you just said, stop and become aware about the emotions and deal
yes,
with them instead. Yeah.
yeah. And I find that you've heard that before, right? But uh, how do you get a dog? How do you know the dog is yours?
Can you say again?
How do you know a dog is yours?
Yeah.
You
You
give
call
it
him.
a name. Exactly. And so it's really interesting, because once you start putting a name on that emotion, and as you said, especially with women, right, we're taught not to have these things. It's not on. We can't. You can't cry in public, right? Your makeup's
Yeah.
gonna run, or something stupid like this. Men, it's even worse. They can't cry in public, right? But saying, okay, I feel like shit. Pardon my French. I love that word. It's worked so well for me. I
And
feel
you are
like shit.
French.
Exactly. Because this is going on, and actually looking at it and say, okay, I'm putting a label on it. And the other thing that I always tell people is put a timer on it. Pull out your phone, right? Put an alarm clock on it and say, I am gonna allow myself to be super angry or super enraged or whatever it is for 10 minutes. And then I have to do something about it. So that's one of the very simple first aid. We do it with children, don't we? When a kid is having a tantrum, well, there's different ways of dealing with it, but I know I was always I always learned that, okay, we'll put a timer on it, and after that we can work on changing your state.
And
But there's a
meantime,
reason why we have those emotions.
yeah, and that the emotions anyway changes in 10 minutes, so it's not
Yes,
gonna last. Yeah.
exactly. It ebbs, right? It changes. So that's one of the bigger things. Recognize it, name it, right? And appreciate that, yes, it's changing. So you can write it down, or you could speak it out. You don't have to speak it out to anybody, right?
Yeah.
It's for people that get really angry. I always tell them, do you need a punching ball or something, right? Or a
Yeah.
good pillow to punch? And
Yes.
sometimes all of us, right? We need that. So that's the first thing. The second one is, what would serve you better?
Now that you are calming down, you can ask yourself.
Yes. But if I ask that right away when you're in the middle of it, you're not even going to hear it. You're not going to,
No, no,
you know, what the heck? Why are you asking me this? I am so angry, blah, 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 blah.
exactly.
Right? But it's not possible. So that's why you need that time. What would serve you better? In between, if the person is open to it, and this is where I tend to train my clients to put an alarm on so they take breathing breaks, right? So when you've trained yourself that when the alarm goes, I'll take 3 deep breaths, or even better, I'll take a square breath,
Yeah.
right? So breathe in for 4, hold for 4, breathe out for 4, hold for 4. Yours are longer than mine, by the way, but it still works, right? So if they train themselves, when at the end of that anger time, the alarm clock goes off, it will be kind of automatic.
Yes.
Oh, I need to breathe. And the minute you breathe, it counts down even more. Then you can go, okay, well, what would I rather feel right now? Right? This opens the door to being resourceful. Right. And it's also interesting for me whenever I think about this word emotional first aid, I also think about the put the oxygen mask on you first. Right. That's what they all tell us in a plane. I know we can't fly so much at the moment, but still, that's what people always say. And this is the same thing when we are steeped and stuck in those negative emotions. When we're triggered by anything that is really painful, you need to take care of you first. And for mothers in particular, and Catalina, you will understand that as
I was
much as
just about to ask you because you have a teenager and I have teenagers at home. So here you go, sister.
oh my God. He's going to be so embarrassed I'm sharing that. But yesterday, him and my nanny, who's been with us forever, right, and she's local, got into the silliest argument. And I was on the outside and I'm like, hmm. But yes, and this is one thing that I'm still trying to teach Suarti is how to put the oxygen mask on her first. Because
So
Nicola is 16, right? He'll have forgotten by tomorrow.
yeah, but you teach him, right? You
Oh,
taught him this, and then
as much as I can.
do you get the rolling out of the eyes in between?
Yes,
But when the time is, do you notice that he takes longer break? Because this is happens to me. You know, I taught them, and I get mom again. So I
yes,
said, roll up your eyes now and thank me later. And what I noticed, they have tests now at school. And so I said, so how was it? Oh, it was tough. And I was nervous. And what did you do? Well, I breathed. I took the box breathing and then uh, st- roll out, not roll up, roll out your eyes. But anyway, you
yeah.
got it.
Roll your eyes, roll your
Roll
eyes.
your
Yes,
eyes.
and they do. They really do. It's funny. A few years back, I taught a friend of mine how to tap. We talked about that, and that's going to be the next one I'm talking about anyway. But I taught her how to tap, and her son was taking his exam, same as you, the big ones, right? And so she went home and she taught him how to tap, and he felt much better. And this is such a sweet story. So they're all in a taxi with other kids from the same school going to these exams. Those kids are, those boys that were like 16, 17, right?
Yes.
And one of them says, are you feeling a bit stressed? Yeah, I'm a little bit scared. And then this kid says, well, I learned something and it works really well. So he taught them how to tap. And 3 out of 5 tapped, right? And the fifth one said, that looks really stupid. And then every one of them went, yes, you're right. And they stopped. However, the effect was already there. So, you know,
Yeah.
but that's exactly my son's the same. I mean, I've been tapping on him for years and years and years when he
Yeah.
was really small, right? And I remember him being about, I don't know, this tall. He's now 6 foot tall. So, and going like, don't tap on me, mama, getting really angry at it. But I've
Yeah.
noticed that he'll kind of do it surreptitiously if he really needs
Yeah.
to. But he's pretty even keeled as a child. So I'm
So,
happy with that for
so
him.
for those that don't know what tapping is,
Yes.
can you just briefly touch on this?
Yes, absolutely. So it's the original. It's basically I call it acupuncture without needles for emotions. Right. It's a
Yeah.
really simple. It sounds complicated at first, but it really isn't. It's a simple sequence of places that you tap on, and what it does is drains the emotion that is bothering you. It's also a great following up to naming what is going on because it's literally like if I had no more, but if I had coffee inside my cup and I wanted to put tea in it, I'm going to have to empty that cup, wash it, and then put tea. Otherwise, my tea will taste like coffee and that is not nice, right?
Yes.
And basically, this is exactly what you do with tapping. Is as you tap on those points, and we can do a quick practicum if you want. As you tap
Absolutely.
on the wall points, you're just literally tipping over your cup and emptying all the negative stuff that is holding you.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm I've been tapping for 10 plus years. I'm a big fan of it.
Yeah.
So I'm looking so forward if you share with me. Are you going to share the emotional freedom technique with talking, or you have special protocols for
No,
different things?
I'm just gonna share the normal ones. I don't do the specific protocols, but I know you do. So one of those days we're gonna have to do a big sharing session about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Awesome.
be- because I
Can you be
find it's good to have one thing in mind. It's
yeah.
one series,
Yeah.
so it's
So
easier.
awesome. So before we go and tapping, would you
Yes.
share, because you just named, become aware of the emotion. So name it. Um, can you talk about the importance of you know, let me say it differently. When a child goes to the doctor and the doctor asks, do you have pain? are you in pain? Yeah, but they cannot say how big the pain is. So the doctor shows like smiley faces or red faces or so that there is a scale, and
Yes.
they could choose where the emotion is.
Yeah.
For us adults, because this is a subjective thing, you use a ranking
Yes.
scale. And why is this important before you start tapping? So I feel angry on a scale of 0 to 10.
On a scale of 1 to 10, because if you name the emotion, it's already a 1 anyway. On a scale of 1 to 10, how angry do you feel? Or how angry do I feel? Or how sad do I feel? Right? It's important because it allows you, as you tap or as you breathe, to actually notice that it is shifting.
Yeah.
Right. Otherwise, we're kind of stuck in that, okay, I still have that feeling. But knowing that you've managed to take this feeling down, right, that's going to create the space for something else on top.
Nice.
Right. So this is why, absolutely, I love the scaling. And sometimes, it doesn't have to be super complicated. And sometimes, people, it's like, it's this high or it's this high, right? It depends on people, but in general, people are comfortable with, on a scale of 1 to 10, how, whatever, are you feeling? How sad are you feeling? How angry are you feeling? How stressed are you feeling? And of course, the stress is an interesting one because a lot of people derive pride from how stressed they are.
Yeah.
Right? It's become the culture, right? The hustle. Oh,
Yes.
this is one of my least favorite words in the whole the whole wild world. The hustle,
Yeah.
right?
No.
But when you deal with the emotions, then you're able to
Yeah.
think clearly
Yeah.
and hustle faster, which means you don't have to work this many hours,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So
Oh,
that's the other thing that is important with the first aid. Start with yourself, name it, account for it, take a breath, and then when the brain starts to re-engage, because that's the other thing that people don't always realize, is that when emotions are high, intellect is low, right? Or not low, but the thinking
or the sense
process.
of reasoning.
Yes. Well, there's only this much space that is in your conscious.
We narrowly focus on one aspect of the existence, right?
Yes.
The anger
Yeah.
or the anxiety or whatever.
I know you know that, but this is something to keep in mind for people. I think it's really important to understand that while we process, a subconscious mind processes 2 million bits of information every second, your brain, your conscious mind, the one you can speak, the one you can observe, all the thinking process, actually is only processing about 8 bits. Not million, 8, full stop. So once you have this emotion that is so big, think of it as like, it's taking over the entire room, right?
Uh-huh.
But everything
Yeah.
you do kind of brings it down. So
Yes.
noticing, writing, every time it engages a little bit more of your brain process and it lowers the emotional level.
Yeah. So would you guide us through an
Shall we tap?
experience?
Yes,
Yay!
absolutely.
Yes.
Let me just
Love it.
tilt this over a little bit so you could see the other part. All right. So this is our starting point. It doesn't matter which side, right? Some people like to do that. Girls usually not so much, but you know what I mean, right? And we start here and we're going to name the emotion. So let's tap on stress because everybody is stressed at some stage. Is that okay with you, Catalina? Right. So we start here. And basically, for all of you watching, you want to follow me and repeat. If I say something that's really not you, you can change it. I'm not attached to that, right? Excuse me. So we start here, tapping on the side of the hand. I cannot pronounce the way the Americans say karate chop, so it's the side of the hand. And either side doesn't matter. Okay, that's the beauty of this technique. It is really versatile. Even if you don't remember all the points, you'll still will be better off than at the beginning. That's the great news. So we start with, even though I feel so stressed, I'm open to feeling calm and relaxed. Okay. Even though I feel so stressed, there's so much going on, so many demands on my time, I'm open to feeling calm, relaxed, and confident. Even though I have so much stress in my life right now, I'm open to loving and accepting myself. And I'm open to forgiving myself or anyone else who contributed to this situation. Okay. 3 times, right? Now we go to the top of the head, the highest point. You know, when we get taught to walk with heels, that point. I feel so stressed right now. Right now. And it's always about naming the emotions out loud. It's working. If you're yawning, burping, or any other things like that, it shows that you're releasing. So that's perfect. You go to the inner corner of the eyebrow. You can do 1 or 2. I only do 1 for me. I feel so stressed right now. Okay. Now you go to the corner of the eye, 1 or 2, same thing. All these demands on my time and energy. Okay. Under the eye, right here, I feel so stressed. And if you know where the stress is coming from, like there was an incident, you might want to talk through the incident. You know, this person is asking this of me and I do not have the time to do it, for instance. Or my son was so rude, I feel really stressed about it. Whatever it is, you just make it up. You know, there is no right or wrong sentence.
Give the details.
Yes. Give the details, talk it out loud while tapping. And then we go right under the collarbone. So in that little hollow, right? I feel so stressed right now. And you could still talking, you could tell the story and tap and it would still work. All right. It's no magic. There's no magic word that you can use. Anything will work. That's the beauty of it. Now you go under the arm. So it's like scratch like a monkey. The kids love that one. All right. I feel so stressed about what is going on in the world. All right. For instance. Yes, exactly. Wear your wristbands right here. All this stress in my life, it's a 10 out of 10, for instance. You can name the scale as well. It helps. By now, it shouldn't be a 10 anyway. It's probably more like a 7. And you're clearing, which is amazing, awesome, perfect. All right, now we're going to go to the finger points, and it's basically the outer corner of each of the nails where it starts growing, right? And every time you move from one point to the other, you're going to say what is going on. So this feeling of stress, you may even name if it lives somewhere in your body. This feeling of stress in my belly, for instance, right? It feels tight. You could describe it, right? Excellent. Now we go here between the last 2 bones, and you're just going to rub really gently. Some people like tapping, but I do not have the coordination for it. Perfect, yes. So you're going to just rub it really gently. Yeah, it doesn't have to be hard. None of the tapping has to be hard, right? And as you do that, just follow my instructions. So close your eyes, open your eyes, and then with your head steady, you're just going to move your eyes sharp down right. Oops, I'm out of the screen. Back to the top. Sharp down left. I can't mirror very well. Back to the top. Big circle one way. Big circle the other way. Keep rubbing. Very good. And now we're going to do the weird thing. So we're going to hum. Usually we do happy birthday because everybody knows that. So it's just not too long, just a few notes. And then you're going to count to 10 really quickly, or 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then hum again. Then you go back to the top of the head. That's it. You've learned your entire series. I feel so stressed. Life feels stressful right now. Working from home is not what it's cracked up to be. All these demands on my time and energy. This level of stress, maybe a 5 out of 10. And basically what you're going to do is you're going to keep tapping until that level feels manageable. right? Ideally 3 or under. Now, there are times where it will stay high for a while. You might have to do 3 or 4 rounds. All right. But if it's something that is not too big, yeah, exactly. All right. Then now we're going to go to the positive because I emptied the cup. So now it's time to wash. We emptied the cup, we washed the cup. Now you're going to go to the positive. So under the arm, I am open to feeling calm and relaxed. Then on your wrist, I am open to forgiving myself if I've done anything to contribute to this. You may even be open to forgiving your boss if your boss has done anything to contribute to this. Right. I am open to loving and accepting myself. I am open to being calm and relaxed and confident. I am open to dealing with this challenge to the best of my abilities. I am open to letting go of what I cannot change. All right, perfect. And now you take a nice deep breath. And I find that the nice deep breath really helps settle everything inside your body. And that's why I always say to people, take a deep breath because it helps them settle. So this may sound like a little bit too much. And like if you're in the middle of it, but that's why it's kind of your level 2 of dealing with it. Name it first, recognize it, then do this. And then comes the next bit, which is really, okay, now that my brain is turned on, how can I deal with it? What are my options? And your options can be literally what we call a brain dump. Take a piece of paper, write down all your options. Right. You don't have to decide right now. That's the other
Yes.
thing. Right. You don't have to decide this instant. Right.
Yeah.
Right now, you can put a band-aid, and then if you've seen that it's a bit deeper, you
Yes.
can go and see the doctor.
Yes.
Right.
I love these techniques are so beautiful and sweet, if you like, because
Yes.
this is showing love to yourself and self-care by doing the tapping and learning to suit yourself instead of taking everything on other people.
Yeah.
This will suit you and
Go
will
on chocolate.
transform. Yes, will transform. Yes, your whole
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah, and I guess one of the other things that is really important, I think that really helps as well, is to remind yourself who you really are. Right. And this is an exercise that you can do separately. It's part of, like, for instance, morning journaling. Who am I really? Is a really good question to help get out of these negative emotions that are turning you into somebody that in general we don't appreciate. Right. When I
Yes.
turn into bitch V, I feel bad at that time and I feel bad after.
Yes.
Right. It's not worth it. Right. So
No.
reminding yourself, who am I really? That is a really good question to step back. And one last one, because this one is so important and it kind of goes back to what we discussed when we arrived. Gratitude. What am I grateful for? Or what can I be grateful for in this minute? Sometimes you're not, okay, but I can still be grateful for whatever, I
Yeah.
can breathe.
But what you just said, it's difficult when you are in a very excited, let's say,
Yes,
less empowering emotions to
yes,
think of gratitude. So the process you just took us through will help calm the brain. So you get into a place where you can appreciate and
yeah,
be grateful for the things in your
yeah,
life, right?
absolutely. And I'm going to say one more thing. Sorry, I forgot about that.
Please.
But moving your process down, and that's something I learned from a lady called Mel Robbins, nothing to do with Tony, but nevertheless, is counting. Counting backwards will literally 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It kind of stopped your brain. It's like, why are you doing this? And then it
Yes.
re-engages the thinking process as opposed to the feeling process.
Yes, it changes
So,
the normally thinking pattern. It's like in hypnosis, you go down, right? With
yeah, yeah,
awesome.
absolutely. So that's it.
Did I tell
Emotional
you how
first aid.
wonderful you are, Veronique? Did I
Thank
tell
you.
you?
Thank you. I appreciate that, and
And
so
thank
are
you
you.
for being in my life. Thank you for
Yes,
being in my life. Thank you for your guidance. I hope you come back again, and
yes, yes,
would love it. I'll take a 1 month break in July, and then in August, September, I would love to have you back,
you're
and then
back.
go deeper and help people. Because many people might know this, still they don't do it, so
Yeah,
it doesn't count if
absolutely.
you know it and you don't do it. And
Yeah,
for many it would be something new, and to try and to have it in your toolbox to
yes,
help yourself thrive in life.
yeah,
Veronique, thank you
yeah.
so much. I hope you have a
You are so
beautiful
welcome.
evening. You do in Bali, one of my favorite places on earth. And thank you so much again for your generosity, and I'll see you again. Wishing you all the best and happiness and health.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
while you are helping many, everybody have a beautiful day or evening or night, wherever you are. And thank you so much for tuning in and learning from Veronique. Thank you so much.
My
And then
pleasure. Thank you.
we're gonna close
Yes, please.
um, our sacred space, and I will take a lot into my heart, but we leave this experience behind us. So we let it go, which is a form of forgiveness.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much. So
Thank
you go
you.
forward to my life, I go forward to my life. And thank you so much for creating this together. Thank you.
Yeah,
Bye.
absolutely. My pleasure.